www.hardtalkgrenada.com. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
What a beautiful time we had.
My enemies' walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor their spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll find them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my sword has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people, they go meet it up. Pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up.
No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Because I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of love. Send down your warriors with the hello. We carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil tries trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we decide?
No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Because I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the various radio stations, 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9 Sister Round Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video stream, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are joining us from. A very special good morning to you. And of course, good morning to you, Mr. Bola, my co-host in studio with me this morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. It's a pleasure to be here again. I hope that you had a wonderful night and, of course, that your day is going good thus far. Good morning to all our listeners. What a pleasure it is to be here again this morning. I was off yesterday, but I've listened yesterday to Ms. Duncan drilling and questioning the doctor and behaving as a doctor herself, you know. I can't help but to remind her this morning about the point when she said to the doctor, I've always said to my friends, and correct me if I'm wrong here, doctor, blah, 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 about the vaccine. And I say, go, girl, go. And doctor is only saying, oh, yes, you're correct. That made you feel like you're a member of the medical staff, right?
No, it does not. I mean, I commend all persons involved in whatever field or area of medicine they're in, but I don't think that is my forte, because I don't think I'll read, I'll educate myself and pass that information that I've learned on to other people. But to be actively involved in and consider myself a part of any medical fraternity whatsoever, I can't take that one. I'm sorry. But I did do a lot of research. It's something that is important to me. It's something that kind of hits home for me, really. So I do a lot of research when it comes to COVID-19 and its vaccination, the vaccination process, the side effects, who could get vaccinated, what's the purpose of getting vaccinated. You know, I do a lot of research generally when something is of grave interest to me. And the doctor did provide a lot more insight, more information that probably I wouldn't even have read about. You know, so I was grateful for that. And I hope that the people who were listening yesterday did get a lot of information as well and were educated as well on the vaccination process, what the COVAX facility is all about. Because yesterday, and funny enough, we spoke about the COVAX facility yesterday, but which, let me just remind the people in case they're wondering, COVAX is not another vaccine. It's actually just a facility that was put in place by the the European Union and or was it WHO? Anyway, I'll find out exactly who again. It's not registering, but it was a facility that was put in place so that countries that are of low and middle income countries can have access, equitable access to vaccination when it becomes available. And funny enough, we spoke about that yesterday, and I read last night that Italy blocked the shipment of a couple million AstraZeneca vaccines to low-income countries.
Blocked it in terms of keeping it for themselves, or blocked it because they didn't want the countries to get it, so they just...
To keep for themselves.
Okay.
Because remember, we're dealing with a situation here where everyone is vying to have their people vaccinated. And I think governments around the world at large would like to see a very large population of their countries vaccinated.
A large percentage of their population.
Of their population vaccinated. Because for them, that means we can start revving up our economy. But more importantly, it means that they'll be saving a lot of lives as well, you know, because getting vaccinated is not just about the economic outlook at the end of it all, where countries are able to reintroduce tourism and reintroduce the free movement of people, but it's also a method in which you can protect the lives of hundreds and thousands of your population.
Did that article in any way speak to where countries like whom or where those vaccines was destined to? Because I didn't get sight of that article that you read, and of course, you are much greater or much more liberal a reader than I am. I do read, but I'm not an ardent follower of Facebook and these kind of things. I read more printed books on philosophy and other things. Not that what you're doing is not important, and I should discipline myself a little bit more to probably be much more updated. I get a little worried sometimes though, because sometimes you go onto these sites, and a great percentage of what you see or you read is sometimes fake, huh? Or people just sharing their opinions.
Yeah.
And nothing is wrong with that, because we all are entitled to have an opinion on something, to have an opinion on any issue, any topical issue that is out there. We can share an opinion, but when we do, I would prefer if we say, I am sharing my opinion or my view of the issue. But sometimes some people, the way in which they print it, the way in which they put it out, they put it out as though it is factual, researched,
Right.
Issues that they're putting out, and so I get a little bit frustrated as a result. So I don't do it as often as I should, and for someone who is engaged and always attempt to engage the public, I probably need to do a bit more of that.
Well, I have to go through, because there are actually a few articles relating to that,
to the same issue.
Yes, on both sides actually, and I think the one that really stood out the most was they blocked an export of it to Australia. It was Australia that they blocked it to, and I think the reasoning when they and I think it was 250,000 doses or something along those lines, and I think a spokesperson actually, in reading the article, mentioned that they blocked it because, and I quote, I'm quoting this part, progress needs to be made on deliveries to EU countries, EU being European Union countries. So countries within the European Union now, they're focusing on getting more distribution of the AstraZeneca vaccine to these countries. And I think when the COVAX facility was put in place, they foresaw something like this was going to happen, that the larger countries, the countries with more money and more power, would make more bargains and more buys of these vaccines, leaving countries like us here in the region and other countries around the world who aren't so fortunate, in a bit of a bind when it comes to getting vaccines and vaccinating our people. So, I mean, it's a good. Most of us did not understand what the COVAX facility was when it was being put in place. A lot of people believed that it was just another tool that was meant to say, people must get vaccinated. It must be mandatory for them to vaccinate, and not understanding really that it's just a facility to ensure that we have vaccines for the people who want to get vaccinated, for the people who need to get vaccinated.
Well, I hope a lot more people would want to get vaccinated, because while there's this issue and this struggle of equitable distribution in terms of who gets more and who doesn't get at all, and I don't believe there should be a country on earth that any decision should be taken to say they should not get.
Right.
I don't believe that's the correct thing to do, because humanity is spread the world over,
Right.
and the world over has been affected by this pandemic. I don't know yet of a country. There was something I was supposed to be looking up on Vietnam. Apparently, Vietnam is one of the very, very few countries that has been able to sort of get very early control of the COVID, and apparently have been able to keep themselves COVID-free or very limited amount. I've seen the thing that I had to read up, and I did not yet to get all the facts behind it. But other than that, most other countries that we hear about, their economy, their people, their population has been riddled and has been getting the really bad end of the stick, so to speak, as it relates to COVID. So it simply means that in terms of the manufacturing and distribution of the vaccines, the world over needs it. Yes?
Needs it.
And while I would love for Grenada to get vaccines so that all the people that are capable of taking vaccine can get one, we also have to be considerate enough to understand that our neighbors or even countries just as low income as we are, not necessarily our neighbors, but we're out in the Pacific. Small island developing states like Tuvalu and some of those countries that are riddled and hit not only by the pandemic but also by climate change and all of the other things that are creating serious economic difficulties for them somewhere, and some of the smaller islands in the Pacific that are being threatened by sea level rise and warmer climatic conditions and farming and some of the other basic things that they have been doing, just like Grenada and some of the countries in this region is having to deal with. They too need countries in Africa and in Asia and all over the world. And so I would hope that countries that are larger, has more prominent economies, that are in a better financial position, that can purchase in larger numbers, while they can do that, that they will be considerate enough to realize that poor nations and them also need. As a friend once put it to me, say, not because you're strong enough to lift a stone means you have to lift the stone.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's no reason for you to lift the stone. So you don't have to go there just, showing off your strength and power. Yes? So because countries are big and able to buy, doesn't mean they have to buy it up all. Or they have to take it all. So that's my hope. But zeroing back home to Grenada, I hope more of our people will listen, read, learn that there are some countries in the world fighting to get the vaccine, still haven't had any vaccine delivered to them. And we have it at our disposal here, albeit small quantities at a time. And there are so many of us that are refusing or believing that there is something sinister about or cynistic about this vaccine thing, and they want to control us. And I mean, let's think about it seriously. Let's take this thing down one level. Do you need a vaccine in this day and age of technology and the movement to control people?
No.
Our cell phones that so many of us believe in. Some of us have 2 and 3 cell phones.
We can't do without it.
We can't do without it. We sleep with it by our pillows. This can have more control on our life than the vaccine does. You can sit here now, Ms. Duncan, and receive a WhatsApp message or something from someone unknown to you. You open it up, and from the time you open it up, what does it do? It takes control of your phone. Just that easy. And every move you make thereafter, every time you go onto that device, whoever it is, whatever organization or individual, will be in a position to interfere or interface or record what is it you're saying, what is it you're listening to, what it is you're doing.
Yep.
So you don't need a vaccine. The world doesn't have to go and spend billions to create vaccines to control us again. Yep. We're already under control and we don't know. So many of us. We have become slaves to our phones and different things that we don't recognize. So there isn't any real fear that we should have when it comes to our lives being manipulated with a vaccine. Because that is done already anyway, if they really want to do it. Yes? So I just want to appeal to our people to see the good in this thing, to see why it is necessary. And then I thought Doc did very well yesterday, Dr. Martin. Thanks again. To try to show people that what is being lifted as a concern about the pace at which the vaccine was being made, that vaccine normally takes, and I tried to deal with that earlier on with the increase in technology, the science being much more advanced.
Yeah.
And so we don't need to spend years again researching and doing it. And there you had Dr. Martin saying that, look, the basis for this vaccine has already been there.
Right.
Because COVID is not a new virus.
Exactly.
The strain
it's new.
is new. So there are certain similarities, there are certain basic things about it that, and there definitely, every vaccine, there are certain things about a vaccine that cannot change.
That's correct. Yes.
There are things that you will have to change because of the variant that you're dealing with. That is why, for the vaccines that have been created, so like for example the AstraZeneca, they said it is less effective on the African strain of the COVID now than the Pfizer, and I think the one that is most effective is the Johnson & Johnson's, because that was the latest one to be released. In other words, they released long after the African strain came out, so they had enough time to study the African strain better and to make sure that they put in whatever they needed to deal with that strain.
But we also have to remember, less effective does not mean not effective at all.
Yeah, well, that I said less effective.
Right.
He didn't say
because
it's not
I've
effective.
Heard, and I felt like I needed to say that because I've heard individuals making comments about Pfizer not being effective against the new strains of the virus, and that is not completely accurate. It's not that it's not effective. It means that it's not as effective as. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that it doesn't still give you some level of protection that you would not normally have without any vaccination at all.
Well, in fact, the researchers have been able to give you in terms of percentage. I think Pfizer, AstraZeneca was 60-something percent, 67%.
I think they moved from that now to 80%.
The AstraZeneca. Okay.
Because remember, now that they have more people taking the vaccine, they have had more time to do more research in terms of real-life statistics.
And to make whatever necessary changes. And then the Pfizer was, I think, 80-something. So even the Johnson & Johnson, which is still a little high, is still not 100%.
It's still not 100%.
Right? But it is to tell us as a people the advancement and the pace at which science can move. As new information become available, as they continue to dispense it onto humans, and they look at the results. Because places like Israel, for example, where they have a large percentage of the population already inoculated, they are now doing serious testing. They are actually, and people have actually volunteered themselves who have taken the full course of the vaccine to be used to study the full effect of the vaccine. So they are now purposely infecting these people with the COVID, so that they can look at them and analyze them and see the true effect.
That's also happening in England as well.
In England as well, yes, I know it's happening in England as well. So we are here babbling about the vaccine and good, and that you have other people that have taken it and said, look, now that I've taken it, you use me to do testing to see its full effect. What can be improved? What needs to be changed? So come on, people, let's stop behaving as though the science and the scientists don't know what they're about.
I'm quite sure, Mr. Bowler, there are people who lives in places like the UK and the US who would gladly book a flight to Grenada just to come and get vaccinated, because of how difficult it is for them to get vaccinated, even in the US. So we are here talking about, we're going to use Pfizer, we're going to use Moderna, we're going to use Johnson & Johnson when it becomes available. And in the countries where it is available, the people there are having difficulties. People have to sending applications just to get to find out if
they will get an opportunity,
and when that will be. So we have been privileged. We are lucky here to have been given the opportunity to get
to just walk into any center where they are administering the thing. And while last week they did say that down at the Radisson last Friday would have been the last, with the new batch that is coming, and because of the turnout or the numbers that has been coming, they are now, as far as I know, in St. Andrews, Deluxe Cinema, and at the same time they are continuing down at the Radisson, right? And I know that there are plans to do some other areas.
Well,
like
they've
St.
actually, the doctor yesterday actually did indicate that the vaccine is available at health centers.
Okay, so they're
not
already
the-
like
not
in
the-
places like St. David's and
Right, not the clinic. And we have to kind of differentiate. It's not the little community clinics and so on, but the health centers. So, like the St. George's Health Center has already, that's the one in town opposite where Andal used to be. That one already has doses of the vaccine.
Okay, so they're administering there.
So they're administering there. So if you and 9 of your friends decide, okay, well, we want to get vaccinated, but we don't want to join the line at Radisson, so we're going to call the health center, make a day, and we're going to go in and we're going to get vaccinated. That is a possibility. But he also said that they're looking at distributing to other health centers. However, they have to make sure that the conditions are right. So they have to make sure that the health center has a fridge that is in proper working condition. You know, they have to also make arrangements in the event that electricity decides where we go in. What do we do? Do we have a nurse in the area that is able to say, okay, I'm going to get some ice and put it on ice until it comes back? Do we have the capability to move it quickly from one place to the other? These are things that have to be taken into
the logistics. Yes,
has to be taken into consideration. And I mean, when that time does become available, I hope that the persons who were skeptical about the virus, because it's a very silly thing, and I think it's a very silly thing for individuals to sit there and watch other individuals get vaccinated and say, me, I go wait to see what happened to them. You know, and at the time when you decide, okay, I'm going to go get vaccinated, there is no vaccination available for you, right? Because we are now seeing instances where vaccinations doses are being held back from certain countries, blocked from being shipped out of the EU, or countries that are not in the EU. When will you get another opportunity like this? We do not know, you know. And then the thing is, COVID still exists. Because members of the general public decided to go and get vaccinated, it does not chase COVID away. COVID will still be around. The only difference is those persons getting vaccinated have a very high chance of remaining well after being infected by COVID, because you will get infected. You know, you can't stop COVID from being around in your atmosphere. Just like what we just call it, the carnival flu. After Carnival and these big events, Carnival and Christmas and so on, we realize that come January, come the end of December, there's a lot more cases of people coming down with the flu. And that is because you have a lot of people coming into your island, a lot of visitors, you know, 1 or 2 anti-vaxxers who may bring the virus in, or even people who have been vaccinated who bring the virus in. And we are not a people that generally get flu vaccines. We don't, we don't consider
in the US,
that
they call
important.
it the flu shot.
Yeah, we don't consider that important. We know we get a flu, we're gonna drink some black stage or some lemongrass, or some big time, and then we
lemongrass.
Weather out the storm. But what if it's an instance where now we have to worry not just about the flu, but we also have to worry about COVID? We have to consider the fact that when we do reopen our borders and we start having events on a large scale, such as a carnival, that there are going to be possibilities of persons coming in that will be infected with COVID. Do you really want to take that kind of chance with your life? Do you really want to sit there and say, me, I'm healthy and I'm strong and I'm young, when I get COVID, I'll be fine? Do you know that for sure? Is that a fact?
And that is what some people are saying,
But that is very sad. That
I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm strong, COVID won't affect me. And it's really not a good thing to say.
It's rather unfortunate.
Because it's just like when you take the vaccine, there are some people who get a little bit sick, with headaches, with a little backache, with the feeling of tiredness and so. Just like that, with the vaccine, the virus itself affects different people in different ways.
Yeah.
Some of us, our immune system is much stronger, much more effective, much more robust than others. Yeah. And so it may have less effect on our physique. than those who have a weaker immune system. And that's what the virus is all about. Strengthening our immune system, boosting it, putting it in a position that if and when and if ever we contract the COVID virus, our system will be strong enough
To handle it. Yeah.
to handle it,
Yeah.
to minimize the serious effects that it would have on us. So all of these conspiracy theories about a chip and a this and a that. I mean, let's stop worrying ourselves about all of these little sidetracking of the real issue and the real deal. The real issue and the real deal here is that we all need to take our vaccines so that we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from contracting that ailment, from being a statistic because of COVID.
Of course, and we've heard the stories. We've known of individuals who have things like stage 2 cancers and kidney disease and so on, who don't really even identify it until it has reached its late stages. So you cannot just sit there and just assume that because you feel healthy, that because you look healthy, that you are healthy. You know, you can't just assume. You are not your immune system. You cannot determine what you can handle just by looking and say, me are healthy and I'm strong, I could walk up a step, I could run a mile, so I'm healthy. You cannot make those kinds of decisions. So you have to be that conscience for yourself and make the right decisions, not based on whatever conspiracy theories that you hear that sound kind of good.
Yes.
Or you just want to feed whatever belief or fears that you may have. So you look for things where you find it what would fit into what you believe. You know, I saw someone post recently about an individual who has had swollen lymph nodes and so on as a result of taking the vaccine. But how do we know that was as a result of taking the vaccine? How do we not know that this was already existing and that because the person took the vaccine, it influenced them to go to the doctor and see if everything was okay? Maybe taking the vaccine made them pay a little bit more attention to their health and they identified problems that maybe already existed. You know, we have to be smart about these things. We can't just take every story that we hear wholesale and try to sell it back to somebody else. You know, it's not fair to the other people who are not able to do the research themselves or who are not able to reason as well as you are able to and make good decisions also. Our duty as people is to ensure the health and well-being of others. If you are not a health official, if you are not au fait with the information, if you haven't spoken to your healthcare professional, I really don't think it's fair of you as a person to be projecting your fears of being vaccinated onto somebody else, you know, who doesn't really have that opportunity to do the same things. It's really not that fair.
Well, someone else may say fairness is relative. Relative, I mean, not being your relative, but relative to who and what the issue is. But we always have to think about the other person.
Yeah.
It's just selfish to only think about oneself in whatever you do. And whatever you say as well, because we know that when we speak or we put things out on Facebook and wherever, we're not putting it there just for us to read. That the writer is also the only reader.
Yeah.
Whatever we put out, so many other people have access to it and would read it and would interpret it probably differently to how you, the writer, may even have interpreted it. Yeah. So we have to be conscious of those things when we are going to write, and we have to always try, make the best attempt, the best effort to be as clear and as precise as possible. And if we are sharing an opinion, so this is my opinion and this is my view of the issue, so that the reader of what we put out knows I am reading the opinion of Ms. Duncan.
Yeah.
I am not reading any researched a piece, and they're not giving me facts based on research done, based on testing done, but it is the person's understanding and interpretation of certain issues. That is what I'm reading. So it is left to me now to have my own interpretation, to agree or disagree with them, and that it is not a scientifically done piece that we're reading. We have to be conscious of that, because sometimes we push people into fear. It's similar to when the COVID just started, when it just came around. People were mad all over Facebook and other social platforms, saying all sorts of things. And we had to constantly be saying to people, listen, when you do that, you create fear that is not absolutely necessary. You cause great discomfort for people who doesn't know and understand better. So sometimes we have to stop being as selfish as we are, thinking only about what makes me feel good and what puts me into good light. What would cause people to believe that I'm educated, I'm smart, I know all that is happening. So let me write this, let me give a piece on that, let me give opinion without saying it is our opinion. Yeah? So, I mean, let us as a people be a lot more considerate.
All right, so we're going to open the lines, Mr. Bola, because we want others to join in on the conversation, to tell us how they feel, what they understand. You know, if they have questions that we may be able to answer, or, of course, if the officials at the Ministry of Health may be able to answer as well, because we know that there are some of them who listen and may be able to answer your questions or your concerns. We're going to open the lines. The number to call is 440-7377 if you're calling locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, the number to call is 347-329-3101. We also take calls and messages via WhatsApp, and of course at 440-7377, and we also take messages on the live video. We have a caller on WhatsApp. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. Can you lower the radio in the background, please?
Good morning. This is the radio station.
Yes, can you lower the radio in the background, please?
Hello?
Yes, can you lower the radio in your background, please?
No, down the radio. Are you hearing me still? I didn't think I'd give in trouble.
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Right. I wanted to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask. Go forward a bit. You ready for me?
Yes, go ahead.
Right.
No, we have lost them.
Yes. Caller, are you still there? Hello?
Got it right.
All right, caller, can you re-ask?
You there?
Yes, can you re-ask the question? We lost you for a moment.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you ask the question again, please?
Are you?
We have lost you for a moment while you were asking the question. So we'd like you to repeat the question.
I'm not hearing.
Oh.
Okay, but we are hearing you loud and clear. Can you ask the question again?
Okay, so just tell me just what I'm saying, because I'm not hearing you good, but maybe you're hearing me. The question I wanted to ask, before the vaccine, people had got the virus and live. If you get the vaccine now, is it 100% proof that you would not die?
Okay, we can answer that off the air because he's not hearing us.
So now, there's nothing that we as humans can do, whether you're a physician or not, whether you're a scientist or not. There's nothing that we can do that can be 100% foolproof that people can die or will not die. We do not hold the keys to life and death. What our medical people or medical professionals can do, what the scientists and the makers of medication and so can do, is use the science and use what they know, the knowledge that they have as to how viruses and bacteria and all kind and germs and so that get into our system and contaminate it, how they operate, and they can make certain medication, be it in a vaccine, in a tablet, in liquid medicine, that can limit the level of effectiveness of those viruses and so. But we can't give, and I don't think there is any physician who can say for sure that taking the vaccine will cause anyone not to die. However, from what the science has said before, and we're speaking based on scientific revelation, is that when you take the vaccine, it will significantly limit the effectiveness of the virus on your system. So whatever sickness or level of sickness, that will be reduced tremendously. Whether it was going to, when you take it, if you had other underlying effects, as they've said before, and it will exacerbate that, by taking the vaccine, it will significantly reduce. So you can then be more or less what they call a healthy carrier. It doesn't stop you from getting the vaccine, the virus, because by taking the vaccine, it doesn't mean that the virus that is in the atmosphere is gone. It's still there. But if you get contaminated, if it gets into your system, it will not have the same crippling effect as if you did not have the vaccine.
Right. Let me see if I could also explain based on what the doctor said yesterday as well. Now, as you very rightly said, Mr. Bola, getting the vaccine does not stop you from getting the virus. It doesn't stop the virus from existing in your atmosphere. It doesn't stop the virus from lodging itself in your nostrils and your throat and so on. What it does is the vaccine has created antibodies that says, okay, we've seen this before, we know how to fight it, right? So the length of time it would take for this virus to lodge itself wherever and create havoc in your body is significantly reduced, which means that the chances of you becoming very sick from contracting COVID is less. Right? And I think that's what people need to understand. Getting the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID. It just means that the virus doesn't stand a chance to spread and create I'm looking for the unsafe,
it doesn't paralyze your system.
Unsafe atmosphere inside of your body.
Yeah, you don't paralyze your system and put you down in bed and
they've also said that individuals who have already had the virus should still get vaccinated because the amount of antibody protection that was created before getting the virus by contracting the virus itself is less than you would get and is more short-lived than if you were to take the vaccine. So it still means that if you've had the virus before, it doesn't mean that, well, I already have the antibodies, so I'm safe. No, it means that you still should get vaccinated because those antibodies you developed are still very short-lived, right? So I hope that answers your question. And as Mr. Bola said, and the doctor did say that yesterday already, none of us are God. We do not know what would happen, right? However, we have been given resources that will help us to minimize the amount of death or illness or so on that we could get normally, right? So why not utilize them? If God didn't want man to have the knowledge to do these things, he would have just say, what, y'all exist and do what y'all want. But no, he gave man knowledge. He gave man knowledge to be doctors and scientists and whatever. And he provided the resources in our environment that we could use to create these things to protect ourselves. So why not utilize them?
So we can't say that people won't die. I don't know that
it would be irresponsible to say that because you'll be giving people false hope.
Yep.
Right? You'll be doing something that only God can do. Provide man with enough hope that they would either come through or survive or whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do to protect yourself. So
they said he is the only source of life, eh?
He is the only source of life. That is true. That is absolutely true. So I hope that answered your question. I really hope that answered his question.
Well, at least help him because I think he was very specific. The caller was very specific that there were people who caught the virus, survived. They did not die. So is there any assurance that by taking the vaccine that people will not die? And I don't know that there is anyone who can give that assurance that people will not die.
That's absolutely true. And it also it does not mean that because you've had COVID before means you can't catch COVID again, eh?
Of course
because
you can have it repeatedly.
There are different strains of the virus, which means that you could catch all three existing strains or whatever other strain that becomes available. So you had it once, you catch a next strain because you have not been vaccinated, and then you catch another strain because you haven't been vaccinated. Can you imagine what that is doing to your body? So you have to be reasonable when you are thinking about these things. And of course, people have also complained of other diseases that they've developed even after recovering from the virus itself. So, we have to protect ourselves against these things. So I hope that answers your question, caller. Right? Guys, remember the number to call is 440-7377 if you're calling locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101 and contribute to the conversation. I'm trying to get some information on which health centers currently have the vaccines available. I know only of St. George's, the one in St. George's, because the doctor mentioned it yesterday, but I'm trying to get more information on where it's available. I know they're going to be at Radisson today. They were there yesterday, although they were supposed to finish on Tuesday, but they're still there today. I don't know if they're going to be there on next week. We'll leave that up to, them to say or decide. And of course, we will hope.
They are also at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville
as well.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out and say good morning to my dear friend Phyllis Ramsey there out of Simon. I see you saying good morning to me on the live. Good morning, Miss Ramsey and family.
All right. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. Good morning, Senator Bola.
Hi, my brother. Good morning to you.
How you guys doing?
Very well for today. We're both okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to get myself vaccinated on Monday because I listened to Dr. Martin yesterday. Very informative. Very good job, Miss Duncan. Very good job.
Thank you.
And I will say to all the people, the naysayers, the conspiracy theorists, I am not telling anybody to go get the vaccine, but
please encourage him. Please encourage him. Tell him. Encourage.
No. I'm not. The reason being, I will say very frankly, I am dating an Australian lady, and they are very anti-vaccine people, if you want to put in a better sense.
Yes.
So me and her were discussing this morning based on what she's watching online and stuff. Because a lot is going on in Australia with the social media stuff and what's going on in the world with the cancel culture.
Right.
And I was explaining to her that you have to listen to the doctors, scientists, and everybody. And you cannot take from one side, like Mr. Bola rightly said, not everything that you might read can be very true.
Yes.
And not everything that you read is actually factual. The thing about it, I'm listening to people in the last couple of weeks in Grenada, and I realize the world has taken a different trend, that what we call the woke culture, where everything that you say right now is becoming a problem, everything that you do is becoming a problem. Long gone are the days when you can actually spray your garden in your yard and nobody complains when you waste water now. No, it's not water bill. So this is what's going on. Right now we had an argument about what is a goat and what is a kid and what is transgender and what is male, what is boyfriend, what is girl, what is gal, what is man, what is I mean, every living thing becomes so sensitive in this world right now. It is amazing. It is amazing, right? And I think we should get away from all these nonsensical things and invent or create a vaccine for idiots, because come on, if we take the time to study these things, we can take our time to study things that is more sensible, that makes sense. Right? That's one point. My second point, Mr. Bola and Mr. Duncan, is that I am a staunch supporter of the New National Party and PM Mitchell and the government on a whole. And I will always say, there's not everything that I will agree with that the Prime Minister and the government does. There's a lot, right? And one thing I don't agree with is that actually, I mean, I'm not bashing it, but actually the PM needs to now come down on the floor and talk to constituents in every constituency, because what I'm hearing on the ground, I'm on the ground, and I'll be in the campaign trail. I'm from St. George Northeast, Tobias Road, and I work with Tobias personally. He knows me. Me and Kuli work with him, so right? So what I'm hearing on the ground is that people are hearing stuff like Mrs. Otway is on back and stuff. Now I know what the party entails. I know what everything entails, right? But we got to be careful what we're doing in times when you have teachers, when you have public servants, public workers doing things, right? Very careful. So we have to know what we're doing, because when you have no jobs and this is happening, people will be very agitated and they will talk as such. Yes. And if that's the case, I know how the thing operates. People will talk for a while and they'll get angry, but what I'm hearing is that people advocating violence, and I've been saying it. I listen to the radio program, and I'm hearing political violence is being advocated. They want to gadget as political disobedience and civil disobedience. I see it as an act of violence. They are blatantly saying that they are not going to listen to the police. I ain't calling names. You hear them? They're blatantly saying, go and pay job, do this and do that. They are blatantly on the radio every morning, cussing. And people are echoing the sentiments. I am not worried about that because I am ready for them. But to the people who's unsuspecting of this nonsensical crap that these guys spend in the morning, they becoming like what we call the Trump cans. Because many people, I make reference, many people in America don't believe that Trump lost the election. The man lost. Deal with it. Right? This thing happening in Texas where our governor is saying, no mask, nothing like that. And you have a pandemic going on. COVID-19 is only the name for the virus when it happened in 2019, December. And this virus was known since September. It only spiral in December. Right? Corona is a virus like MERS, SARS, and all these things. Yeah. So if people don't want to take heed of what is happening and want to go spiritual on their side, when they feel it spiritually to do so, you got to come out of that bubble. You got to stop this nonsense. Yeah. We have a country to build. Our country is safe. You can't say, oh, well, welcome to Grenada, the best place on the world, on the rock to live, and then saying this country is the most corrupt country in the world. Yeah. You are two-sided, and that is not normal. I listen to all radio programs and all radio hosts, especially those that is critical of the government, and I'm telling you, there are some people, they will say, oh, like, they want to correct on language. I mean, so petty coming about language, like would have and would often. Yeah. My God, this is what we study. Yeah. Put your energy in doing something better. That's why you call that radio and so-called prime minister and so-called minister. I mean, come on. I don't agree with everything the PM is doing or everything that the government is doing or everything everybody is doing. You cannot do that at no time. But you cannot be on one side and crying, Grenada is poor people, Grenada is this. Really? Mr. Bola, everybody in Grenada is driving public Audi right now. You don't want to do it.
No, I don't have a Audi. I don't have a Audi.
Well, exactly. I have my license how much years now. I can buy a vehicle, but I don't need a vehicle.
You don't need one.
I don't need one. Right. You understand? It's where priorities lie.
Yes.
Invest. Do something. Do something for a hobby. Play music. Do something. Yes. But you want behind a mic and don't forget sending a pledge and cussing the PM and this kind of nonsense and talking about you could have worked here and I work here and I was in the government. What are you doing for the people and bringing the youth involved in this nonsense? Yeah. Really? And the youth age, youth is from 15 to 24, not 30 and 35 and when somebody's youth and youth. Youth might, anytime that means, well, I know the Commissioner of Police will allow that. So let us say we're trying to stifle free speech. Brother, we're not America, we're not St. Lucia, we're not St. Vincent, my brother. I have a death in the family right now and I cannot travel to St. Vincent because Mr. Gonzalez is saying that we have to quarantine there and pay for the. Imagine that. You're home and paying for it. And they're saying Dr. Mitchell in Grenada is a dictator. This man has won more terms as Prime Minister in St. Vincent than Mitchell in Grenada. And Mr. Mitchell in Grenada is a dictator. Yeah? Really? In St. Vincent, the roads are, the buses, the vehicle there is I want to say crap, but not as ours. We have the newest model buses on the road, 100,000 more. And you saying Grenada is underdeveloped? Yeah? I don't get angry, but I won't get angry. I will save it. But I will have a meeting with the doc because the doc needs to address this level of what I see going to happen as a national security issue with these guys that are planning this nonsense.
Yes.
Right? So, Mr. Bola, you have a good day. Mr. Duncan, have a good day.
Thank you for your contribution, sir.
All right, I want to give some statistics, Mr. Bola, because I think statistics always important when you're speaking about these kind of things. And I also want to mention Dominica yesterday did a rollout of their vaccination, and I'll tell you, they are not using, let's see here. So they received Sinopharm, and for those who don't know what Sinopharm is, it's actually a vaccine that was created by the People's Republic of China. So they have received vaccination from China, and we'll see what happens, because that's what everybody's looking at, which one works better. But I do want to give some very important statistics, and I think it's something that we all need to take into consideration. Now, let's see here. And I want to give it in parts because I don't want to miss anything.
You said everyone is looking to see what would happen. I honestly do not believe that any one vaccination is going to have a negative effect on anyone. As we've said earlier on, there may be the efficacy of one may be a little greater in terms of percentage than the other. One may give you a 80% coverage, another one may give you 85, whatever the case may be, based on the methodology used to test. But I really don't believe that any one of the vaccine created, whether it was the Russian-made, Chinese-made, Cuban-made, from Oxford or AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson's, whatever the type may be, I do believe that they all will be effective. And that's my personal belief. And in fact,
absolutely.
The WHO had to do and be satisfied with the results of the testing that was done before they gave clearance for international use. So yes, let's look and see. But I believe the Chinese is just as good as the Cuban is. I believe that the Cuban is just as good as AstraZeneca, and AstraZeneca is just as good as Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer or Moderna, whatever it is they're using. I believe they are all good, but the effectiveness against the virus may vary from person to person, from place to place, and so forth.
Right.
But let's have the statistics, which is always very important.
Right. So statistically, Israel is leading in vaccination.
And I did say so to you.
They have
not
vaccinated.
Because I told you that I don't read up these things as much as you. Doesn't mean that I don't. That's all.
You glimpse them every now and again.
Every now and again. I mean,
Right.
and I think I should do more of it. But I stick to reading more traditional books.
Absolutely. And this information is actually coming from, as of the 4th of March. We are now, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
They have vaccinated 8.5 million people. Which
And hold on. Before you go further, you need to clarify.
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
When we say ahead, because it is based on population size.
Right, so it's per capita.
Yes.
So in essence, they are vaccinating 93.76, or they're administering 93.76 doses per 100 people. Right? So that's why they're leading it's per capita. So basically
96% of the population.
Right.
Has been, yes.
Now, what is interesting to note, and when I read it, I was taken just a little bit aback. Now, globally, the latest vaccination rate is just over 6 million, right? Per day, on average. So at that rate, they are estimated that it will take 4.7 years to cover 75% of the population. World population.
Right.
With the two doses.
At the rate
we're going. Now, this means that the world has to hunker down for the next 4 years.
Yep.
It means that we would still need to, if people are not taking vaccination more seriously and not going to get vaccinated at a more aggressive rate, it means that for the next 4 years we would have to sit and wait. Because guess what? Grenada could get vaccinated. We're fine. The rest of the world.
And I wish Grenada will get vaccinated.
I wish so as well. the rest of the world still needs to catch up because the effects is not just Grenada.
Yep.
It is the world.
It's a pandemic.
It's a pandemic, you know? So if the rest of the world is still behind, we still behind too.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to start encouraging not just our friends here, but our friends overseas. Because what they do affects us, and what we do on a smaller scale still affects them. You know, so we have to take these things into consideration. And I want to give some more statistical data. Let's take the U.S., for example. Now, the U.S. Has administered, let me see here.
Quite a lot of every
It's
day.
a lot of data. Yeah. The U.S., they gave it by state. Let's see here. Oh, Lord, they give it by state. So you can go in, and I want to give the site to the people who want to track it daily. I'm going to give you. But the U.S., I want to get them alone. Right. So they have vaccinated over 2 million. They are vaccinating over 2 million people per day. Right. We looked at it as 2.7 or something, so that, or 1.7. That's how they had it a couple of weeks ago. But now it's 2 million, over 2 million, right?
2 million 42,000.
676 doses. Yeah. So that's per day.
Yes.
Right? And
so you can say 2.4 million people.
2.4 million people.
Yeah.
Now,
almost
at average, it would take them an estimated 6 months to vaccinate 75% of their population.
Because the US have a population of over 300 million people.
Yes.
I think it's 360. If my memory still works right, there are 300 something million. So doing 2 million per day is a lot.
It's a lot.
That's what.
And even with the 2 million that they're doing per day, there are still people who want to get vaccinated and can't because of the lengthy process.
Yes.
And procedure that it takes just for them to get approved to get vaccinated.
But they didn't give you a total as to how much has been vaccinated thus far.
No, actually, they have broken it up by state. Actually, yes. Yes, I'm saying the wrong thing. Well, no, still the right thing. They've broken it up by state. So
to date, what is that number?
To date, I've seen it. U.S. totals 82,572,848 doses have been administered, which is 82
million.
Right.
So here we are in Grenada, just about 100,000 people, worried about the vaccine is going to kill our people. 88 million people in the US, some of them being our relatives, because I have a sister-in-law who had gotten her first dose a couple of weeks ago, and I think the Pfizer, you can get your second dose within 3 to 4 weeks. With the AstraZeneca, it's 6 weeks.
It's 6 to 8 or 8 to 12 or something like that.
Anyway, she's preparing now anytime soon to go for her second dose. And I'm saying that to say that there are Caribbean-oriented people who are in the U.S., people just like us, same skin color, come from same background like us, and they are getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
They're not dying.
Yeah.
They're crying for it.
But furthermore,
why are we, some of us, I should say, considering that?
I don't know.
I mean, we should be taking 3 months in Grenada based on the size of our population
to
vaccinate the entire population. People should be going forward to get this.
Now, mind you, with that amount, they have already used 75% of their supply. Now, and I'm saying this to say, Mr. Bola, and to strengthen the point that we made earlier, that for those who are waiting, for those who are sitting there saying, I'll wait 6 months or 8 months to see what's going to happen and then I'll decide to take it. It may not be available to you in the time that you choose to take it. Because we are looking at the numbers. 82 million people have been vaccinated and 75% of their supply has already deteriorated. And if we want to go to
already been used.
Has already been used. Supply has been used.
When you say deteriorated.
Now let's talk about on a global standpoint. And these are not all of the figures, because from what I'm looking at here, not all of the countries are listed. There are a few Caribbean countries here, but not all, because Grenada is not on that list, right? I'm seeing Barbados on the list. I'm seeing Bermuda on the list. I'm seeing Anguilla on the list. I'm seeing not many Caribbean countries are on the list, right? And there is a link that you can use to submit your data. So maybe that's something we need to look at as a country, submitting that kind of data. But from the data that they've collected so far, 279,865,028 people have been vaccinated so far.
Right.
In the world.
That is no. That is based on the
data that they have. That's the global total for the data that they have collected. And they have not collected from all countries.
Right. So you have Grenada, which probably has about 5,000 now. You have others that you can add because they're not all there.
Yes.
But over 200 million people. Right? 272?
279 million.
279 million people worldwide. So that's why when we make the point that it is not just Grenada trying to vaccinate people. It is not just in Grenada that we have a few thousand vaccines. The world over is doing it country by country. I want to hear how much the UK has done so far.
Absolutely. They have vaccinated 21,946,432 people. And they've broken it down. 18 million of that has been vaccinated in England, 2 million of that in London, 1 million of that in Scotland, another million in Wales and Northern Ireland, 596,000. Out of that, there have been no reported deaths.
No reported.
21 million people. And we sitting in Grenada, we were like 100,000 people talking about waiting to see who go dead.
And I laugh. I laugh not at the people. Because one can understand that there is a level of apprehension. There may be a level of fear. We have all, I think all of us, or most of us have taken vaccine in our lifetime. But there's never been a case where we have been living through a pandemic and seen a vaccine develop and have to take it. Now, it's different to just coming in and as a child, a vaccine is administered to you. Sometimes we don't even know what we have been vaccinated for. I remember in school getting vaccination. I know children get it in the hospital. You go to the health center as a baby. Your mother carry you. You are being vaccinated and they fill up your card to say that you've gotten your vaccine for rubella or for measles, for whatever, the polio, whatever it is that they do vaccinate. But it is the first time for this generation that is presently in the world, knowing that there is a pandemic and a vaccine is developed, so people would have their queries and their concern. And I am not worried about that. But I would always hope that people would let good sense or better sense prevail. And they can look back. History has proven that vaccines, and yes, there have been cases. We can't isolate that. We can't forget that. There have been cases where trials were being done over the many, many years and decades where all of the protocols were not properly followed, and there have been deaths resulting from that. But where all the protocols have been followed, where the checks and balances, the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, so far, for hundreds of years, vaccination has proven to be very effective to the human race for a very number of sickness.
I want to rock the boat a little bit, Mr. Bola. Again, for those conspiracy theorists, information never lies. Information is always very
credible information never lies.
Never lies. It can be you can dispute it all you want, but it can never lie. Now
tested and trusted.
Let's look at what's happening here. Now we have and I'm looking at the data, and like I said, I'll share the link with individuals who would like to also look at the data as well, and make their decisions based on that. So I'm looking here at 7 vaccines that have been created and is being distributed. Well, not distributed. All of them are not being distributed yet. But 7 vaccinations thus far that are listed here. We have the Pfizer BioNTech, the Moderna, AstraZeneca, Novavax, Johnson & Johnson, Sinovac, I want to believe that's pronounced Gamaleya, but I can be corrected, of course. Casino Biologics, Sinopharm. These are all of the vaccinations that are currently on the market, right? Currently being created because they're not all on the market. So let's start with Pfizer. Now, when they started the trial basis for Pfizer, so they've created as Dr. Martin said, none of these vaccines started from ground zero. There was always the technology there was always the base and so on. And of course, when China got all of the data that they needed to get, they sent it out to scientists all over the world,
yes.
so that everybody can look at it and everybody can have an opportunity. Right. And there were people pumping billions and billions of dollars into this study. Now we have Pfizer. Pfizer started their trial in May of 2020, right? And their trial period lasted until somewhere in the middle of November, based on what I'm seeing here. Mr. Bola, you're seeing what I'm seeing, right?
I'm seeing
the 9th of
the
November.
screen, but not all this finer print,
Okay, so they started the trial on, and I can be more specific. They started the trial on the 29th of April 2020, right? On the 9th of November 2020, the trial showed that the vaccine is more than 90% effective, right? Now, during that time, they waited for approval, which was given to them on the 21st of December by the by the European Union, the 11th of December by the US authorities, the 9th of December by Canada, and the 2nd of December by the UK. Now, these are all of the people that have to approve that the vaccine works there. It's not just, okay, as a company, I am going to make this vaccine, I'm going to send it to you, and you're going to use it. There must be this approval process. And they got that approval. So it looks like the 21st of December was when they got final approval for everyone to begin using the Pfizer. And on the same 21st of December, well, I guess as soon as they approved it, they also approved emergency use and they started distribution of. So from then, the 21st of December, and they have it to date, which is, what's today? The 5th? The 5th of March. They have been using the Pfizer. In the trial period, 44,000 people were used in the trial period. And I want to make that absolutely clear. 44,000 people were used in the trial period for the vaccine. And that's for Pfizer. But let's get more to where it hits home, which is AstraZeneca, which is what we are using. They're saying, what are you talking about Pfizer for? We're not using that. Let's talk about AstraZeneca then. So the trial period started on the 28th of... No, I have that wrong. The 28th of August, right? And it concluded on the 23rd of November. Now, mind you, even though you have a trial period that started, then remember all scientists were sharing information.
Yeah.
So whichever company decided that they're going to try first or whatever, the fact is that they were all sharing the same information. And the companies felt that the trial period for them was best based on where they were at. So it started on the 28th. It ended on the 23rd of November, where the analysis showed that they were at 70% efficacy, right? So it was 70% effective. They received approval for use from the European Union on the 29th of January, right? The 2nd of January for India, and the 30th of December for the United Kingdom, right? And I say that to say, and they used, and actually, let me see how many people, 65,000 people were used in the trial period. So
even though the period was shorter,
it was shorter.
They used more people than Pfizer did.
Well, yes, they
Pfizer
actually
used 44,000 people.
Yes, the only company I'm seeing here, or the only vaccine that used more people in their trial period, was Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
Johnson & Johnson. So it's really, I mean, when you look at all of this data, that cannot be can't be disputed, obviously, but it's factual. It's there for you to look at. When you look at all of this data, I mean, you're looking at people, all kind of 40,000 and 70,000 and 65,000 people were used in the trial period. How many of those people died? How many of those people turned into animals, Mr. Bola?
I have not known.
Many of those people
I've
died?
only seen cartoons, but I don't know. I didn't.
How many of those people got any adverse effects as a result of and that's the trial period. That is the period before they say, yes, it is safe for human consumption. It is good for us to start spreading among the population and all of that. 65,000 people were used in the trial period. None of them died, or at least we don't have any data on any of them
dying.
But we sit here in Grenada, we will look 100,000 again, as I say, which is only 40-something thousand less than the trial amount, you know, complaining about, we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see. And as I said, all of these, as I'm seeing here, they all have...
And maybe 65,000 people is who have to take it in Grenada, and that might be over the age of 18.
Right.
That is qualified.
Absolutely, because it's not everybody that is going to take it. Yeah. It's those over the age of,
18 or 16.
18.
I think, yeah.
Those over the age of 18. So everybody under 18 not required to take it. Right? And that would probably take us to the 70% of the population that we need to have been vaccinated before we have accomplished herd immunity.
Well, yeah. Well, 70% of our population is young people.
And let's just look down here, for example. There's a note for the Johnsons & Johnsons, for example. Russia and, not Johnsons & Johnsons, the Sinovac. My apologies. Sinovac Biotech. Russia and China took an unusual step and allowed for the distribution of the vaccine before conducting any large-scale clinical trials. So they started their clinical trial on the 21st of July 2020 and actually started distribution of it to high-risk groups at $30 a dose on the 28th of August.
Well, I know for a fact that in the U.S., all three of the vaccines being used are already out for sale in the pharmacies.
Yes.
You can get the Pfizer, you can get the Moderna, you can get... So people do not have to wait on the central system. You can step into the health center, into the pharmacy, and purchase your vial and go to some medical professional.
Or can you purchase it, or is it available for purchase?
I have heard so.
By medical
I
professionals.
I have not done any serious investigation, but I've been told that it is in stores, it is in the pharmacy for sale. The price was even given to me. One of them was 10 US, another one. They varied in prices.
Okay, I'll try. Eventually, we'll have to look it up and see if we can find it. But of course, once it becomes on a more larger scale, we'll see that people would have to start paying to be vaccinated, you know. But it's very sad, and we're saying all of this to say, Mr. Bola, that sometimes we just sit and we wait, and ignorance, as they say, lack of knowledge. The Bible says the lack of knowledge, or the lack of knowledge, my people will perish.
But I think it said something about leaders.
It says a lot about leaders.
Where the Bible spoke about the lack of sight and knowledge by leaders, the people will perish. So,
well, we'll have to see.
Leadership, as we have said many times before, is not about noise.
Yeah.
But it's about...
Not about how big your mouth is.
Yeah, it's about the consciousness of doing what is necessary and proper, even when it may seem unpopular.
Yeah.
But you're doing it for the right reason.
Someone is saying here, I request Johnson's & Johnson's to my doctor, and I got my call to take my appointment for same, but I will get it done in the pharmacy.
Right. Is that person speaking from overseas?
Yes. This person
Right.
doesn't
So
live
there we are, a little bit correct with our information. I've heard so. Like I said, I didn't do any serious investigation, but I know that in the US, I've heard that in the US, the vaccines are available in the pharmacy. So you don't have to wait for those who are waiting on the lines because the government are doing a significant amount. And compliments to President Biden. He did make a promise that he would try to do at least 100 million in the first 100 days in office, meaning at least 1 million people per day. That was his expectation. Now, from what we have seen on the dashboard there, they have doubled that amount. They're doing almost 2.5 million. So they're doing 100% plus more than he was expecting. So we can safely say if the stocks are available at the end of the first 100 days in office, there may well be 200 million Americans who would have been inoculated. Yep. And come on, we only need about 60,000 people in Grenada to be inoculated to arrive at what we call a herd
immunity.
Immunity. Please, our people, let's understand what we're doing and what we're saying. Let's understand the relevance of this whole vaccination, and stop behaving as though someone is purposefully trying to administer something to you that they know definitely is going to be life-threatening for you.
Yeah. We have to be smarter than that, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be caught saying, oh, well, if I didn't know, or, oh, well, you see, watch what Joe tell me not to take the vaccine, and watch what I get COVID, and I know I see in trouble, my lungs failing, or, I mean, it's not a funny situation. It's not fair for you to do something like that to yourself, based on misinformation. As we always say, speak to your medical professional. Every situation, every person is not the same. The vaccine, while it may be 70% effective or 80% effective, it doesn't mean it's 80% effective for all people. Just as penicillin might be 80% effective, but not for all people, because I can't take penicillin. If I take penicillin, I'm dead. You understand?
And so why you're not taking it?
I can't take it. I'm allergic.
Well, I mean, if you know you're going to die, just take it.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. It's just that it is not effective it may not be effective for everyone. You have to find one maybe that will work best for you. But you just will never know. I didn't know I was allergic to penicillin until I took it.
Yeah, but I want to repeat. I do not believe that any one of the vaccine will not work. The tests have been done, and I've said that before, and it's been confirmed, and the doc said it yesterday, that the science has been shared. This was a thing that took the world by storm.
Yeah.
And the medical professionals and the scientists have decided, listen, we are going to hit this thing full blow. So whatever I know, whatever I've learned, we share it. Whatever you learn, you will share it. So the information being gathered has been shared. There was no secrecy about it.
Yeah.
So all the different formats that we have, or different names, was as a result of shared information and further testing and trials by various people who were working on it, various companies.
Yeah.
Right? So I believe they would all work. The thing is, all of them will give some kind of side effects, but the side effects that we're hearing about are very minimal.
And not all people will get side effects.
That's the other thing. They're very minimal.
You got any.
No, I did not. I'm not like you.
Yeah,
I didn't have no headache. I didn't have no fever. I didn't have anything. I am me. Remember, I'm Roland Bowler, especially made by the master, So, I mean, just a little joke there. You don't take me too serious. But I didn't have any side effects. But there were some people who came down with a little fever. I've heard some people complain about headache.
Yeah.
I've heard people complain about a little dizziness, and having to sleep all or most of the following day after they took it. And there's some of us who had absolutely nothing. Nothing, not a fever, not a headache, not a dizziness, nothing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is for our own protection. protection. So people, please, we are appealing to you. The government is getting it. They are making it available. And I think the ministry is doing well in trying now. They are looking at the possibility of further rollout in terms of the distribution, going to different places. I know that there's a suggestion that schools should be contacted because you have teachers there.
Yes.
Some may want it, some may not. It's all up to them.
Yeah.
But if you can stop by a school where you have, a group of teachers.
I support that though, 100%.
Of course we do.
Because as a parent, honestly, I understand. When I was taking my vaccine, my children are at school. When I was getting over my side effects, my children are at school, which means that the teacher was in the classroom not getting vaccinated, So I fully support there being, whether it's a day or two or a Friday or whatever that they say.
Yeah, and of course you would have different schools getting on different days.
Yeah.
If they agree, because it is not a thing.
But mostly a Friday, because you kind of had to leave room.
Of course, if there are any side effects they get the weekend to slip it out. And the side effects only last a day or two.
A day.
Maximum.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak about 2 days, but
right.
You definitely, if getting any side effects, would get it within the next 24 hours, basically, of getting the vaccine.
Right.
But I definitely support that, teachers having an opportunity to go and get themselves vaccinated. But the doctor did say yesterday that in the event that there is a school where teachers have decided collectively that they do want to get vaccinated, that they can call the Ministry of Health and they will make the necessary arrangements for them to be vaccinated. Whether it's a nurse coming to the school or them making the arrangement for them to go to the health center or to Radisson or wherever they may set up next to get the vaccine, then that should be done. So I fully support that. I definitely do.
Agreed. I hope they can set up on the bus terminus.
Oh God, don't say it so.
And of course, because I think the drivers do need to get, and conductors.
Oh yes, that's a really good idea. And there are a few of them who are very willing to get vaccinated, to give them an opportunity to do that. That's a very good idea. I didn't even consider that, It didn't even run across my mind.
Yeah, well, shouldn't be letting things run in your mind. You should be thinking about things. When it runs in your mind, it might damage it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have to take into consideration, Mr. Bola, that one good thing did come out of us not being in contact so much during COVID.
I didn't get that.
Very limited people
when you say
got the
us,
flu. Us as a people.
Oh, right,
the
right.
world
right.
at large.
You see, when you say us, sometimes I think you're speaking you and I.
You and I know. I'm speaking the world at large.
Right.
People, humanity.
Humanity.
We, most people did not get the flu.
Yeah, you had for 2020 into 2021 in terms of contraction of the flu, the numbers have significantly decreased. Flu season, as they call it, kind of went into abeyance. And it was again as a result of not much people or too many people, congregating one with another.
Absolutely. So I think that is great, but it also shows a very important point that although COVID is responsible for us being so careful with the washing of our hands and the wearing of masks and so on, it definitely does show that there are a lot of things that are spread due to contact that we haven't been very mindful about because we just study flu here. We ain't studying that.
But some people do take it seriously, because some people, when the flu season comes around, get seriously ill.
Yes.
We'll have to take bed for a couple of days, and so.
Well, I remember the last flu the last flu 2019 into 2020. That flu was horrible, Mr. Bola. I was down for almost 2 weeks, but you yourself got the flu. You were down for like a week. The man who never gets sick.
I was down for a week.
About a week.
You better be careful with the things you say about me, especially saying it on radio.
Of course, you were down for about a week.
I may not have attended the work for a week, but you can't say that I was down
for a couple of days, and you needed a few more to recuperate. That's about a week. It was about a week. I'm not going. I'm not embarrassed. I was down for 2 weeks.
I am not embarrassed either.
Full weeks.
But you're saying things that are not totally true.
You were down for a couple of days though. Come on, admit it.
I lie in bed. I wasn't down. I did just like the teachers.
Whatever pretty petticoat you want to put on.
I did just like the teachers. I took some time for rest and reflection.
Whatever pretty petticoat you want to put on it.
I don't wear petticoat. I'm a male. By design and by made.
You are dumb.
Females are the ones that wear petticoat, red and blue and whatever colors all you wear.
Mm-hmm.
And that not even raining again according to the old people. I know the last day I see a lady with a petticoat.
No, people don't have. I have a petticoat at home, but it's because of dancing. It has nothing to do with me wearing one. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, Mr. Mills.
How you doing?
I'm good, Mr. Mills. How are you?
I'm good. How you know it's me, man?
I tell you.
We see your face.
No, I tell him yesterday.
Oh, no, you see how she's trying to drive me in fine style?
No, Mr. Mills.
In fine style. Yeah, what she telling you?
No, I tell you yesterday, Mr. Mills. Every time you pick up the phone to call Hard Talk, my fingers start to tingle, so I know it's you.
Me and you have something in common.
I feel.
Eh?
How are you today?
I'm good, like cook food and you.
I am great. Did you already make your arrangements to get vaccinated?
Oh, no, I had to go on that. I had to ask Mr. Bola. Mr. Bola.
Yes, sir. Ask me.
So you have to drop your pants and turn around?
No. Hey, come on, Mr. Mills.
No, well, I know, well.
He asked,
I
and
just
he asked
asked
the
you to
doctor
get
that
it back.
yesterday.
Which part of your body?
On your shoulders and your arms.
Oh, I thought it was on your bottom.
No. Nobody want to see your posterior.
Oh, well, you said your name. Thanks for making me know well. When I'm talking to people in original conversation, they go ask me, hey, where will I be going there for? I find it in the river.
No, it's on your arms. You know, it's really simple.
I know.
We had put out a call to our good friend from the Ministry of Health. We have not heard from him yet. To if they do have the schedule to let us know. I will be involved in a little discussion later on this evening. I think it's at 5.
Like me, we can't want me them. You think they might have to come?
That is what I will inquire about. They have invited me. I've been invited to be part of a conversation they're doing. I think the ministry is trying their best to make this issue of administering the vaccine as seamless and as easy and hassle-free as possible. So what they're doing, they are inviting different groups of people to little discussions and getting their opinion. What do you think? How do you think we should do this? How do you think we should do that? So I've been invited to be part of one of those this afternoon at about 5 o'clock.
Okay, well, I say that to say I wouldn't go able to meet them.
Well, no, I'm not saying you in particular might be able to meet them, but what that means is that those of us who can meet them will be asking questions on behalf of people like you. Because understanding your situation, I will specifically ask what would happen to people like you.
So who would I go asking that now?
Officials from the Ministry of Health. We are having a discussion this afternoon.
So you will be there?
I'll be part of that discussion, so I'll ask questions.
You were throwing a few words on my...
Yeah. Not just you, but for a lot of people. And then I'll let you know what is going to happen.
I know. So everything all right otherwise?
Other than that, we all right. How are the plans going for birthday? Sunday is the big day?
Sunday coming. Hey, you remember that? I look like I might get sweetie.
I don't know. Some of your sweetie paper.
Yeah, anything.
Something.
I wanted something when I look at it, I could remember you.
Yeah, you know, when you go to praise, they just say a little bit of something is better than nothing. Pass it with your will in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, so when something go past, man, don't worry. We'll do something. Something go past. So.
I'm not even saying that just so, you know.
Yeah.
I said, don't just say something.
No, man. No, come on. That's us, you know.
Because we are me and you brethren.
I know. According to a good friend of mine, they say when he want me to make a room for him, he just say, Bola, what else do you? After we, He's weevil, you know.
Oh, yeah. When you say fear, that you say,
Well, I know what he mean. He say, man, we good, you know, after we is weevil.
you buying friend in shot practice.
He buying friend in shot practice. You know them,
Yeah, I know them, man.
So everything is good with you. You're taking it easy. We entering into the weekend. Sunday is your big day. And, you know, we're doing what we have to do. I'll see what information I can get concerning your particular case and situation, how they're going to deal with things like that, whether they can do house visits and, you know, administer to people who are
so when I go know?
By Monday, please God, when we will talk to you. When
Monday.
You staying in a home, Mr. Bola?
In where?
In a house, like.
Yeah, I'm living in a house.
Yeah, but I would not be disagreeable. I want to ask you for your home number.
Okay. Let me have Miss Duncan send you that off the air.
Okay, no problem.
Good. Off the air. You'll get that.
So, all right. Listen, man, she there?
Yes, she does. She hear what I'm saying, man.
Yeah,
Listen, man, I took a pen. So,
no, she gonna call you after the program.
Back and give you.
And give it to you. Don't worry.
She have my number,
Yeah.
Of course, Mr.
Yes.
She have my number. Miss Bola.
Let me tell you something. If I was you, I starting to jump up, I'd be so happy when ladies have my number.
You have my number so long and you don't call me, let me talk, man.
Wait, I don't know if you want me to call you. No, I know.
I would be so glad if you called me, I could talk to you, but don't tell Mr. Bola nothing.
No, I don't want to know what I'll talk about at all, Mr. Man. That's all your business.
What did they talk about?
That is all your business.
Yeah, that will business.
Yes. It is, what they call the Calypsonian again? It's from up by me up there.
Oh.
Black Wizard said, don't put your mouth in woman business.
Yeah,
Me, Papa, I don't put in my mouth.
Ladig, eh?
It's from Ladig. Definitely. So, Mills, we're winding down. Time is upon us. You know, it's good when we can spread information and have a little fun. But
if you wind down, why not come back, you know?
Yeah. No, I don't go in down if I can come back up.
Because you have California, you wind down, he can't come back.
He stick down there, they have to raise him.
Yeah, wait.
Once I go down, I'm coming back up. If I can't go down, I don't go in at all.
I agree with my brother.
Yes, man. Yeah. So, enjoy your weekend. I'd already said to Ms. Duncan, we have to put a package. It's not going to reach you before your birthday. You're definitely going to get it Sunday.
Before the match.
Yeah. You're going to get it next week, God willing. We'll see what arrangement we can make with the booth and get it up to you.
That would be
and
nice.
You take good care until...
Would I say thank you very much in advance?
In advance, certainly, not a problem. Okay. And we'll keep in touch, my brother.
That would be nice.
God be with you. Take good care.
Me.
Yes.
If you have a marker, when you're marking C, I ain't saying that because CURTIS.
Yeah, it's Curtis Mills.
MILLS.
Curtis.
People just spell the cut.
No,
but then put the TIS.
Yeah, it's Curtis.
Curtis
Mills.
Yes. That girl from New York, when she come here, she inspired, as she say, I inspired in the name, but her name is not Curtis, you know, her name is Curtis.
Yeah, it's Curtis.
So we can put in the R, but the CUTIS, the Curtis Russell.
Yes.
But it's Curtis.
It's Curtis Mills. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you have a lovely day, Mr. Mills, and you'll hear from me soon. Very soon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm looking out for that.
All right.
Listen, man. So if I hear from you, you could hear from me?
Yes.
Well, that would be nice.
All right.
So you will be remaining there, right?
Yes, as soon as the program is done, you can call back if you want to, you know.
Okay, my dear.
All right. Have a lovely day.
Take care.
Mr. Bola, before I forget,
yes,
I need to give people an idea of what is happening next week. On Monday, there will be National Youth Parliament that will begin at 9 o'clock, and we'll be carrying that live. And on is it Wednesday, Mr. Bola?
Yep. Then Tuesday you have post-cabinet, most likely.
Tuesday post-cabinet, but Wednesday is sitting of the Senate.
Yes, the upper house.
The upper house, right? So that will take up most of our week. On Thursday, we are expected to, but not confirmed as yet, have representatives from our National Women's Arm, who would come because International Women's Day is on Monday. But of course, because of Youth Parliament, we are unable to facilitate them on that day. So on Thursday, hopefully, once it's confirmed, we will have them coming to make contributions on behalf of the New National Party's women's arm, right? And hopefully on Friday, we can continue the discussion with more information provided about the rollout of whatever vaccination plan they have available for the rest of our country. Do you have any closing remarks, Mr. Bolo?
Well, just to remind people, as we spoke about earlier on, I honestly believe, and that's my opinion now, there's no law, there's no regulation, there's no punishment if you decide that you're not going to be vaccinated, be inoculated, as they say. But I just want to advise people that I believe it is a good thing to do. I've gotten my first shot already. I've been encouraging friends and family so to do. And I want to encourage all people out there who are capable of. It makes good sense. As we've heard, over 279 million people the world over. And it could be more because all of the data has not been put up on the dashboard yet. So it could well be 280 or 285 million people have received their vaccination already. And they're continuing. There are a lot of countries that are pushing hard. Israel, for example, like I said earlier on, is the leading country where 96% of their population who can be vaccinated have taken their shot thus far. So Grenadians, please, let's wise up. Let's drop the politics in everything. Let's stop thinking that you're doing a favor for Dr. Mitchell or you're doing a favor to the NNP by getting vaccinated. You're only taking care of your own health and ensuring that you keep your family and your loved ones safe. Absolutely. So do it and encourage your family and your friends to do it. As the week progresses, next week, God's willing, we will be able to share with you, and the ministry will be able to share with you where in different parts of the islands they will have people that can assist you to get your vaccine. And if you're not sure, just give them a call. They will help you. Yeah. As you go through and have your good weekend, please remember, the protocols are still in place. We must wear our mask when we're out in public. Yeah. We must wash our hands and be sanitized as regularly as we can, and limit the size of the crowd that we are going to be part of. It is for our own safety. It is for our security. It is for safeguarding our lives and those of our loved ones. Do have an enjoyable Friday afternoon, and do enjoy your weekend, whatever you see and whatever you do.
All right, for those of you who I promised, the website is bloomberg.com. They have a COVID vaccine tracker for global distribution. So you can go there and keep abreast with how many people around the world have been vaccinated. And of course, share data as a country as well on who in your country or how many people in your country has been vaccinated. Guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you in whatever you say and whatever you do. Be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you, but we don't ever want to be talking about you. So please do enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report. It's been wonderful, guys. Be safe and be secure. We always
Are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go, there are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives we'll be taking if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe.
Permanent Secretary responsible for hospital services denies reports of increase in fees for hospital services. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Thursday, March 4th, 2021, I am Sherry Ann Noel. The Acting Permanent Secretary with responsibility for hospital and community health services in the Ministry of Health has denied reports of increased fees for services at the General Hospital. Mrs. Hannah Julian St. Paul told the Government Information Service that fees remains the same, the only difference being the introduction of fees for PCR testing that came into effect in 2020.
At our hospital, we have not made any changes to our fees in several years. Whatever payments that was and has been done is what still continues. I am not sure if persons are being confused with the PCR testing that is being done. So persons who are traveling, people for different reasons, or quarantine persons and so, we are doing our PCR testing for them. And this is the only test that I know has a fee of that $405 that we are speaking of.
Mrs. Julian St. Paul also says there are no fees attached to the gynecology ward for delivering a newborn.
There is no fees attached, based on what I know, to labor and delivery at the hospital. Persons who are accessing our operating theater for surgeries and so, the recommendation based on our guidelines, based on PAHO recommendation, it has been implemented throughout the region. It's not only in Grenada. We are doing PCR testing for persons. So we understand the risk, because if we were to put someone onto a machine in the operating theater and there were a positive case, you could understand catastrophe that can happen there, right? So we have to take all precautions in that case. So for the operating theater and so, we have to do a PCR testing.
She is urging users of the social media platform where some of these reports have been circulating to be responsible when sharing information. Moving along, construction of a new wing at the Bishop's College in Carriacou is slightly ahead of schedule despite some minor challenges. It is part of a project funded by the Caribbean Development Bank and the Grenada Education Project GEEP to the tune of $10,451,656. Peter Copplestone, Senior Project Manager with Hanover Construction Company, says while there were delays as a result of the weather, the team put in the hours in January and February and cast the first floor slab.
We're currently constructing Block B, which is the block that will house the multi-purpose labs, the teacher staff room, administration and food and nutrition classrooms and clothing and textile classrooms. So we started the foundations in September. We completed the foundations in December and we installed the blockwork from ground floor up to the first floor level. We cast the first floor slab just last week and we're currently installing the columns and the blockwork from the first floor up to the roof level. So by the end of this month we're hoping to cast the ring beam and that will allow us to start construction of the roof.
Copplestone says once the roof is completed by the month of May, the construction team will move to begin work on the internal finishings of Block B. He also explained the plan in place to begin work on the existing buildings that are now in use by students.
We have to complete Block B first and then we can rehouse the students in Block B. And after the students are in Block B, then we can start the refurbishment of the Block A, which is a north-south block.
Okay, so all the different studies have now been concluded on the existing building in terms of whether it will be demolished, whether you can salvage what's there?
There is some, the east-west block will be, that is down for demolition. And at the minute we're looking at, with the client about a new block. We're still at the sort of negotiation stages with a new block being built.
Businesses in Carriacou are benefiting from the construction of the Bishop's College, as most of the materials that are available are purchased there.
We try to utilise the supplies in Carriacou when we can, so we've purchase blocks, cement, aggregates from Carriacou. Other materials we have to purchase in Grenada and ship in, so that's a challenge with the timing to make sure we get the materials on site in time, ready for the guys to use them on site.
The delivery date for the project, which began on September 1st, 2020, is March 2022. 95% of the labor force is from Carriacou. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Hey, are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go, there are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives will be taken if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe. Be COVID-19 smart.
Welcome back. For the first time, 9 areas of skills training will be offered at the New Life organization in the upcoming school year in April. That's according to Executive Director at the organization, Margaret Yamuha. Registration for the new term will run from Monday, March 8th to Thursday, 11th. The New Life organization programs run for 13 weeks. During that time, consistent monitoring and assessment will be conducted to ensure a smooth transition.
We have food preparation and cookery. Now, all these programs I'm mentioning are CVQ programs.
Okay.
So we have food preparation and cookery. We have restaurant service. We have bartending. We have general agriculture. There's a new one that we are bringing on board, electrical, electronics maintenance. This is a new standard that the NTA just approved. Then we also have solar installation and maintenance. We have plumbing. Okay. We have furniture making and carpentry.
The electrical electronics maintenance, skills for youth employment, general agriculture, solar installation and maintenance are all being offered under the Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program SIEP. Sister Margaret also addressed changes that will be made in the scholarship and sponsorship programs.
Some of the programs come under regular NULO program,
okay,
meaning you pay everything from beginning to the end.
Okay.
Or if you are serious but needy, somewhere along the line you can get sponsorship and get scholarship.
Okay.
And then some aspects are also under sponsorship. We have been running some of the sponsorship programs for a couple of years now. One under SIEP.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are already aware of it. It's almost coming to an end, I think, by next year. And then another one under the SKY, the Skills for Youth Employment, co-funded by the government of UK and the government of Grenada.
Okay.
We've been running that also since 2019.
Good.
Right. This is going to be the final phase
of that one,
of that program. For the last phase of the project, we want people to earn the sponsorship.
Okay.
And so the life skills phase of it is going to determine whether going into the technicals, right? If you don't show any seriousness and you want to continue, you will have to pay.
And finally, in the news, grabbing the opportunity presented, Empower participants in Carriacou share on the decision to join the program and the experience gained in the life skills core development sessions to the direct skills training component of the program. The participants are now receiving training in electrical installation and small engine boat repair. We get more in this report.
The lives of many on the sister isle of Carriacou will be greatly impacted through the Empower program. The all-male program, which now provides an opportunity for young persons to receive direct skills training in electrical installation and small engine boat repairs, has begun to spread wings on the island. A proud participant of the Empower program, Kejoni Simon, uttered on his decision to join the program following a sea encounter last October.
I had one encounter where I almost went adrift, and I didn't really know what to do because the engine just shut down on me, and I was like, I cannot leave this land today. I had to make it back, and without me getting the engine started, I had to swim with the boat tied onto me and the next fella. and we swim until we meet a yacht. And when we meet the yacht realized that we was in distress, and the man gave us a call to call home and call for help. And after that, I heard there was an Empower program for youth to help them learn like small engine repairs and stuff like that. And I said, well, that is the place I should be.
Presently receiving direct skills training in electrical installation and small engine boat repairs, Danley Alexis says he has a passion for fishing. Alexis says the training in small engine boat repairs sparks his interest and has great plans of developing himself in the field.
We do basically two skills, the electrical part of it and then the outboard engine repair. But for me, I more based on the outboard engine repair because I deal with the marine life like every day. I deal with boats and on the seawater like every day. So the outboard engine repair part of the course is very good, 100% to empower of bringing the skill to us. The outboard engine repair training is going very well so far, and I'm looking to take it further.
In his words of advice to his peers, Simon pointed.
And it's a very good program. It teaches you a lot, and even they wasn't giving you anything for the program, I still join the program because it's very beneficial. I could tell any youth out there on the block, it's very, very beneficial. And I mean, if ever you get a chance to come in this program, I mean, grab it, because to go overseas and study something like this, I know it costs plenty of money. So, I mean, it's a very good program.
Empower 2.0 was officially launched in March 2020. Reporting for the Division of Youth Development, I am June Paul.
And with that story, we come to the end of the National Report for Thursday, March 4th, 2021. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sherry Noel, thanking you for viewing.